Hello everybody, welcome back from on top of the wall. My name is Mason Up, your favorite Mason, don't you forget it. And today we're talking about some janky stuff, the kind of jank that Spikes like to play. I'm talking about the kind of jank where we put a fast clock into play and protect it. It's usually very sketchy when we do, and it is still competitive. It is still very competitive. In fact, Kiln Fiend and this deck are all technically very competitive. And this, just like those, are still very janky. And this deck is, I'm calling Hellbent on winning. like every spiky competitive deck, we're all hell-bent on winning, but this one is more literal. And we're using the Hellbent mechanic, and that's what we're built around today. Let's get right into the deck. Okay, so the card that we're built around is called Taste of Mayhem. Taste of Mayhem is 1 red mana for an enchantment aura, and what it does is it gives enchant a creature +2/+0, but if you have Hellbent, which means having 0 cards in hand, it gets an additional +2/+0. So for 1 red mana, it gives a creature +4/+0 if you have no cards in hand. That is extremely powerful, but unfortunately, having no cards in hand really sucks. It doesn't do it. You can't do anything for the most part unless you're built around a bunch of other things, graveyards and stuff. But for this deck, I decided, out of all the builds that I tried, to just go right in on it, just like all in on 1 or 2 creatures just with these kinds of auras on them, and just ram our opponent. And the auras that we're playing are, of course, Taste for Mayhem, and Fervor of the Bitten, and Dust Corona. My mistake. Taste of Mayhem is the one that has the most punch to it, packs the most punch, and does the most damage. It's the most volatile of them, while Fervor of the Bitten makes our creature beefy and gives us the ability to better interact with other creatures and outclass their creatures. And it'll protect us from any of their little flyers that may be in the area. While Dust Corona gives us evasion from flying creatures. It makes it so our creatures can't be blocked by flying creatures and gives us a good little damage boost onto it. Now the creatures that we're playing are actually 2 play sets of very cheap creatures, Ornithopter and Vault Scourge. Now Ornithopter costs 0 mana and it's a 0/2 with flying, while Vault Scourge is a 1/1 lifelink that we end up usually paying the 1 mana for, and we end up taking the 2 life from the Phyrexian black mana, but we can get it back through the lifelink. And that's why Vault Scourge is usually the better creature, even though that it's more expensive, because on turn 1, usually we have access to 1 mana, and the lifelink that we get back, the life that we can get back when we equip this thing and just start swinging in for 5 after 2 auras are on it, and just gain 5 life back, usually more than makes up for the life loss from any Phyrexian mana spells that we have in this deck, and we have plenty of Phyrexian life draining spells. Now with all these small creatures and because of how we're built around small creatures, we need ways to protect them, so that's why we have Apostle's Blessings, I almost said Aeropostle, Apostle's Blessings, and Welding Jar. Now the Apostle's Blessing is obviously the better one out of the 2 because of how the format is right now, and with Echoing Decay just running around in every black deck because of it's in response to the red-white weenie deck that produces a bunch of tokens, or red-white tokens. They produce a lot of tokens very quickly, and that Echoing Decay is in response to those. So unfortunately, we can't regenerate our creature through any kind of negative thing to toughness. Regeneration only takes away damage and causes the creature to tap instead of dying, but the negative till end of turn does kill most of our creatures. So Apostle's Blessing still gives it protection from the color of that spell, while Welding Jar does not, but it can still be useful against other forms of removal and does give us Metalcraft. Now for our more flexible, versatile, and utility spells, we have Mutagenic Growth and Galvanic Blast. These cards are what allow us to place around damage and manipulate the battlefield and give us little tricks here and there and can help polish off the game for us. Galvanic Blast just ends up being a better version of Lightning Bolt in decks that have Metalcraft and access to a lot of artifacts. It's just 1 red mana for 4 damage that we can place on our opponent to finish them off, or to get rid of a key creature that we may have to fight over. because our opponent is also doing something unfair, or perhaps they just put in a huge blocker into play that flies, and somehow we just need to be able to handle it or deal with it. Well, mutagenic growth is similar in that sense, but it does rely on a creature and is far less powerful, but costs 0 mana by just paying the life. Now for our cantrips and card selection spells, Faithless Looting and Cathartic Reunion, Gitaxian Probes. These spells are meant to help thin our deck, help give us a better card selection, and because of the way that decks that rely on auras play out, where you need to first play creature, then play auras, and then you want spells to protect them, you want to draw spells in a certain order, but if we can't do that regularly, which, surprise, in a 60 card randomized deck, you don't always get the order of things that you would like, these spells help round us out and give us more consistency and help protect us, especially Gitaxian Probe. Gitaxian Probe actually will protect our creatures better than you would believe because we can see any kind of removal spell coming. We know what's going to happen far ahead of time, and that gives us a lot of pseudo card advantage against our opponent. Knowledge is power, and I want to emphasize that and how powerful Gitaxian Probe can end up being, beyond just thinning out our deck. Onto the mana base. The mana base is consisted of Lotus Petals and Manamorphose and then some land. Let's talk about the Lotus Petal and the Manamorphose for now. The Lotus Petal is there because we usually want to play out our cards very quickly and immediately put a clock into play and as many auras onto it as possible. And this is sort of our unfair thing to do, and the thing that we're sort of ramping into. We're willing to take card disadvantage over that in exchange for being able to quickly push our opponent into 0 or less much sooner than later. And while Manamorphose is just a good way to thin out our deck, then for the actual lands part of the deck, we have 4 mountains, 4 Great Furnace, and 4 Sandstone Needles. The Sandstone Needles get us slightly more mana, slightly sooner, and the Great Furnace helps count for any Metalcraft. The mountains are just mountains. They're good. Mountains are just good. Now for the sideboard. The sideboard is either protection for our creature and our clock that we're using, or it's either removal or some way of stopping our opponent from outpacing us or outdoing us in some way. Let's start with the protection half. We're going to start with the Air Apostle's Blessing, the extra one on the sideboard. The Doomed Travelers to help fight against Edict effects that Apostle's Blessing just don't protect our creatures from, and Welding Jar doesn't either. The Standard Bearers are just catch-all for targeted removals. They are just 2 mana, and we proactively play them out with our Manamorphose or our Lotus Petals, and we usually don't end up seeing too many of them in a game, and if we do, we can put them away. These all do require white, except for the Air Apostle's Blessing, which we can cast with life. An interesting thing about the Standard Bearer, it also doubles as a way to fight against Boggles, not just removal spells. The removal part of the deck, we have the Flaring Pains to help fight against Fog, and the Pyroblast to help fight against counterspells. A lot of different things that blue decks will do to try to interact with us. We bring in the 4 Pyroblast to help fight against them. Then we got Blazing Valley. It's just a card that we would like to end up playing, and it's cheaper than Electricity to hit all of the creatures and ping all of the creatures. I prefer Blazing Valley over it, and we just need it, absolutely need it, to help fight against things like Well-Wishers and certain kinds of token decks like Red-White Weenies. This is our response to Red-White Weenies, to keep a lot of the 1/1 flyers out of the air. Oh god, I hope you guys are ready to go out there, fly off into the distance, and deck your opponent for 7, 9, however much you want in the air. Now with this deck, you can do that. You can proficiently do that. And thank you to my new subscriber this week, Breno. I appreciate you subscribing. Thank you for watching. And next week, I think I will be doing a nice little red-white, kind of mid-rangey aggro deck, but lower to the ground. Something fun, something spicy. Another competitive build. Something that that you can take to your local game store and just run into Kadal the Bros and just go, oh, let's see who does red-white better, or run up against red-white weenies. Something to really take down any kind of slower decks and still keep up even in the late game with those decks, and still have creatures that can actually trade with them while still maintaining a lower curve in red and white, and not just have to have double burn spell for the Grimhag Angler, have to have triple burn spell for the Delver to help fight through their annoying counterspell this, counterspell that. And with all of this going on in the format, I just want to point out, Izzet Delver has been the #1 tier 1 deck for months. As long as I've been playing Pauper, it has been the tier 1 deck. And I would just like to call it right now, I'm going to take down Izzet Delver. I'm going to personally build a deck just to take down Izzet Delver. Tron always is a close second, but Izzet Delver, thanks to its cantrips, it always can just barely get in the damage usually that it needs to finish off Tron in most Tron decks. And it's usually able to like just sort of get around blue-black Delver and help fight blue-black control. I always just feel like it needs more to just like, somebody needs more to like just take down Izzet Delver. And it's just frustrating because it's on top of the format. The only time that I've seen it come down from the very top of the tier 1 Pauper list on MTG Goldfish, it was just for a week, and that's because all of the other decks started running some combination of Hydro and Pyroblast to fight Izzet Delver. And then Izzet Delver, a week later, is just like, oh, I'll also play Hydroblast and Pyroblast to fight your Hydroblast and Pyroblast. And I'm like, no! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, we need to take down Izzet Delver just to make, just so the format survives. Because I enjoy this format, I enjoy building around it and its unique properties, and the fact that you have to work around scenarios like you don't have these huge massive catch-all answers or these huge massive spells, you have to work around certain things. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, watch for me on tappedout.net. Let me know what you would like to see me play, what kind of thing you would like me to do to the format. And believe me, I'm going to warp the format so that way I can get rid of Izzet Delver. Believe me, that's what I'm going for. Thanks for watching. Coming in for that face touch.